Hi everyone, I'm Dina with Mills Family Gardening. We live in North Texas, Zone 8A. Today is March 7th, and in this video we'll be talking about how we take care of asparagus in our garden so we produce thick, big stalks for us. Back in January, our asparagus ferns or branches got yellow, and I trimmed them all the way, almost to the ground. You can see they're about a couple of inches above the ground level, and I did that even before the new asparagus started coming in. So when your asparagus turns yellow, make sure to prune it down before new stalks start growing, because once the new stalks start growing, you don't want to prune down the old stalks with the new ones. We're actually a little bit late doing it now because our asparagus is already growing, but it's okay. It's better late than never. So before your asparagus starts growing and after you prune those yellowed branches, you need to fertilize your asparagus, and for that I simply use organic all-purpose fertilizer. You can use any kind of all-purpose fertilizer. It works great. And what I do, I simply sprinkle it around the plants or the crowns of asparagus everywhere. And then after I sprinkle it, I mix it lightly with my hand with the soil. I don't even use any spade or shovel. You certainly can use some tool to mix it with the soil. But usually this is enough, and then when I water, the water pushes the fertilizer further into the soil and mixes it more. So I fertilize our asparagus soon after I pruned down the yellowed branches. That was a few weeks ago. And now you see the new asparagus that's growing. The stalks are thick, they're strong and healthy. That is why it's very important to fertilize your asparagus before it starts growing. We started this asparagus from seed 2 years ago, and we made a video about it. In that video we show how we grow asparagus from seed throughout the whole year. It's a very popular video on our channel if you would like to watch it. But you can see that even though this asparagus looks very strong and healthy, I'm not going to pick it yet because this is its second year, and we will wait another year before we harvest our asparagus. After you fertilize and water your asparagus, you need to mulch it because you don't want any weeds to grow in the asparagus bed, because asparagus does not compete with weeds very well. And as mulch, you don't have to buy mulch at the store necessarily. You can use any small brush that you have in your garden after harvesting. This is what we have here. I think this is leftover from our sunflower that grew here. We have a bunch of leaves that I'm going to simply push to this bed and cover the bed with all this small brush. And also, after you prune your asparagus, you can actually use the branches, dried asparagus branches, as mulch. These look very long and they will work just fine too. Simply place them like that on the ground around your asparagus plants and crowns. It will be just fine. If you think these are too long, you can break them up or chop them up with your garden pruners. Asparagus are prickly and sharp, so be careful if you use only your hands. And then just use these branches to cover your asparagus bed with mulch. Even though this asparagus is only 2 years old, you can see that it's very strong and thick. And I think the main reason is that this bed is in full sun mostly. On this side, asparagus stalks are pretty thick. You can see this one and then that one and this one. But if you go down to this side of this bed, and you can see new asparagus growing here, you can see that these stalks aren't as thick. There's this new stalk coming up and that one, there's another one, and they're not very thick. And the reason is that this side of the bed does not get as much sun as the other side. For that reason, it's very important to grow asparagus in full sun. Asparagus needs as much sun as possible to grow thick stalks. Now let's go to our other asparagus bed that's much older. It's been there several years. We also started from seed, but you can see what that asparagus looks like. With this asparagus bed, you might notice that the spears are not very thick, and there might be a few reasons, in my opinion. This is an older bed, and you can see that we have a lot of asparagus older plants here that I cut down back in January, and they all are crowded together. And you know, asparagus multiplies through the ground. It keeps growing new plants, and the roots keep multiplying, and they go out that way. After a while, it gets all crowded, and you can see a lot of plants growing together together, I think that might be contributing to asparagus in this bed growing so thin. So that means that we might need to dig out some asparagus crowns and possibly plant them in other parts of our garden. The other reason is that I did not fertilize this asparagus after I pruned down the dead branches, and that might also be contributing to thinner spears. So I'm gonna make sure to fertilize this asparagus today or tomorrow and water it well. And also, this asparagus bed does not get the sun in the morning as early as the other bed gets, so this bed stays in the shade longer throughout the day. And I think that might also be contributing to thinner spears. And also, this asparagus bed is much older than the other one. It's probably about 8 years old by now. And you know, asparagus has only so many years of life when it can produce really good spears. So I think this bed is getting older, and at some point we might need to dig out old asparagus crowns and plant new asparagus crowns. You might notice that our asparagus has gotten tall, especially this spear, and I have not harvested it. And that's okay. You can harvest your asparagus even when it's this tall. You simply go not as low down to the ground. Just snap it like that. And even though it's so tall, it's still good. As long as asparagus is not growing leaves from the sides of its stem yet, it's good to be harvested. And that's all for today. Make sure to do all those jobs for your asparagus, and it should bring you a really good harvest. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.